Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and I want to thank you for tuning in. Now, who's going to throw their hat in the 205 mix? OSP or Ryan Bader? And are Tim Boetsch and Gray Maynard worth betting on as underdogs? And will Zach Makovsky continue to rise his stock here in the flyweight division? So, those are very, very interesting questions and ones that I can't wait to answer. So we've got UFC Fight Night 47. Now, before I get started, I want to thank all of our clients. We truly appreciate your business. And, of course, we always go into this with the best of intentions. We want to win and win as much as possible. But with that being said, we all have to be responsible, and we all have to be controlled. So you never want to bet more than you can afford to lose. All right? Like I said, we all want to get excited, but you never want to bet more than you can afford to lose. Second, you always want to check your local laws, local government. Make sure you're obeying all the laws. And then third, much respect to all the men and women who are fighting. My job isn't to be their friends. It's to break down the fights and predict who's going to win. Not only that, predictions are one thing, but who to bet on, which is the most important part. So let's dive right into the fights. So the first fight of the night, we have two UFC newcomers. We have Ticman versus Saenz. And with Ticman, we've got a very interesting prospect coming out of Kings MMA. But he hasn't fought in 2 years. And that is a big, huge red flag right there. As if though him making his debut wasn't enough, now he's been out for a long time, and but he does have Rafael Cordero's endorsement. So what I know about him is he's very young, he's very explosive, he's full of energy, and he will have a big time stand-up edge over Saenz, who is moving up from 125. So Saenz is usually a 125 flyweight, moving up to 135 because the fight's on short notice. And based off the footage I could find of Saenz, he's a very good wrestler. He's got good control, good ground and pound, very aggressive once he gets the fight to the ground. And in this fight, it's going to be basically a wrestler versus a striker. And Saenz is going to have to get the takedown. Now, you can take a look at the line, and it's pretty close, and for a good reason. Ticman comes with, I wouldn't call it hype, but he has a lot of support coming from that Kings MMA camp. And this is a fight where I am going to definitely recommend do not bet this fight. I have zero interest in putting anything on it, so this is just going to strictly be a prediction. But not worth betting on at all. Nothing. Like I said, there's predictions and there's betting picks. This is just a prediction. So Ticman for the win, for the slight upset. And do not bet. Nothing. And for the next fight, an interesting one here. A guy making his UFC debut. And Alvey going up against Watson. So another red flag for me, in order for me to really like a guy who's making his UFC debut, he has to be very talented. And Alvey is not, to me, very talented. Well, we've seen him on the Ultimate Fighter. He tried out, competed and stuff at 170, so welterweight. This fight is at middleweight, so. Alvey, he's decent, standard, well-rounded, just pretty much can do it all in MMA, but nothing stands out from watching his fights. Nothing that's like, oh wow, this guy. And if anything, something that I can't get out of my head is how much he reminds me of Chris Cope, and just a silly guy, just always, just a kind of like silly guy. And in order for him to win this fight, I do not recommend he stand with Tom Kong Watson. I think Alvey should get the takedown. control him. But that's not going to be an easy task with Watson. Getting him down is easy, but holding him there is not going to be easy for him, especially when Watson's unleashing all kinds of strikes. And who's to say Alvey doesn't pull a Tavares on us, not following the game plan, just going wild, not paying attention to his corner. So it really is a toss-up in this fight. And with Watson, he has a great clinch game, a very, very good clinch game. I really like it. And his losses to Catone and Leites, watching those fights, there's nothing to laugh at. Catone was very, very motivated for that fight. Leites is always a handful, and I don't think Alvey's at that level. So I like Watson for the win. He will be in a very small round robin, a round robin that will have its limits, but it'll be something small just because he's a bit above just a prediction, but not quite 3-star, 4-star, or 5-star. But I do like Watson here. I do like him for the win. Possible knockout, but at least a decision. So, moving on to the next fight, we've got McMann versus Murphy. Now, this is a very interesting fight, one that I'm really looking forward to here. And with McMann, we know what we're going to get out of her, But the big thing that stands out in this fight to me is that she's coming off the hugest loss of her career, her only loss in her career. And but most importantly, psychologically, realizing that she is not going to be the champ. Ronda Rousey quickly, easily dismantled her. Ronda Rousey is just a beast, and McMann is a very smart woman, and she realizes, I'm not going to be the champ. And having that realization for a lot of fighters can be a crushing realization to have to make. And she's carrying a huge price tag in this fight. Opened up a 3-1 favorite. Even then, a very big price tag for her, and but she has proven that she does put in the work, and that she does take care of her business. And with Murphy, we've got somebody coming in here with really no pressure here, and Murphy's definitely making the right moves for her career. McMann will be the toughest opposition she's had, but Murphy is the Invicta champ. And the Nakamoto fight, the most recent one, I wasn't impressed with her. I was hoping to be impressed with her so I could say, hey, maybe this girl. But I wasn't really impressed. I think McMann can definitely control her with her wrestling. As we know, McMann's got awesome wrestling. And even on the feet, McMann's going to be able to hold her own. Murphy is training at the MMA Lab. They are a great camp. I really like that camp a lot. But I am concerned about McMann, because the big loss, and psychologically, mentally, that's just important in this game. So I'm going to say do not bet. There's a much better spot to bet, and it's not this one. Definitely McMann for the win, and I will say by decision. But if she's not there mentally, I will not be surprised, and I will think back on the breakdown saying, do not bet. So moving right along to the next fight. Now this fight really has piqued my interest these last 3 weeks. I have really been just dissecting the heck out of this fight. And we've got Makovsky, fun-size Makovsky, going up against Da Silva, Formiga, Jussier Formiga. Now, when this fight first got announced, oh yeah, woo, yeah, Makovsky all day, woo, he's gonna go crush him, he's gonna go right through him. Let's throw him in a parlay, this and that. And after watching the fights and really refreshing my my mind on this, and after I watch 10 to 12 fights, sometimes 13 fights. I just try to clear my brain. I mean, of course, there's certain things that just stick in your head that you can't really clear, but I try to clear my brain and try and really focus on what's coming up next. So a lot of times, you know, with names and things, I try to just clear my head and just try to look at the future instead of looking, clogging my memory, so to speak. So I started watching the fights, started watching them, going through them, and the one thing that really stood out to me, I mean, I couldn't get over it so much that, well, I'll speak more on it, but when Makovsky hits the ground, when the fight hits the ground, and it hits the ground often because Makovsky's a very good wrestler, he leaves so many openings, which doesn't surprise me because he has lost by submission multiple times, but also does surprise me because he trains under Marcelo Garcia, who is top 2 in the world for jiu-jitsu, and it's just very interesting how he leaves these holes. I believe that Makovsky is just, there's some guys that just don't pick up a certain aspect of the game, whether it be the takedown, once it's on the ground, the jiu-jitsu, or whatever aspect it may be. I just don't think Makovsky can master the jiu-jitsu art. And yeah, his wrestling is a strength, so he can possibly keep this fight upright. But even then, you know, if he gets hit, you know, it's his MMA, and Formiga is underrated on the feet. I think most people forget that as dumb or as slow or as you know, as bad as some people say he is. And as I was watching the Sampo fight and the Jorgensen fight, Makovsky's Sampo and Jorgensen fights, Sampo and Jorgensen both had him in some very vulnerable positions, and when Formiga gets him when Formiga creates a scramble and creates a position like that, he's gonna submit him because Formiga, man, he is a ace, a jiu-jitsu ace, a jiu-jitsu champion. And the problems that I have with Formiga, though, are that he's not consistent enough, and I would like to see a little bit more head movement, foot movement, a little bit more of his Aldo or Barao type of movement on the feet. Obviously, he's not them, but once the fight gets on the ground, this guy is just unbelievable. I really like watching him on the ground. He is going to be very far from home, which is another thing I'm looking at. You know, he's going to be in Maine. But the beauty of jiu-jitsu is it doesn't matter how far you are away from home. When you have mastered it like Formiga and you're going up against a guy like Makovsky who just cannot get the hang of it, my goodness. Formiga, you know, his takedowns and his trips are decent. You know, they're not excellent. They're not double. You know, they're not GSP takedowns, but they're trips and decent takedowns. And he's got Makovsky's kryptonite. So I really can't believe the line movement. I love where the line is at right now for Formiga, and it just goes to show you, you know, what some of the things that people can overlook. Now, of course, it's not guaranteed to happen, but going from let's just say there are a ton of parlays out there with Makovsky in it, and what a great relief it is to know that none of my money is tied up on Makovsky. So I am going to go with the upset here, Formiga by submission in round 2, and as far as the bet goes, it's going to be a small one. It's not going to make or break the night because Makovsky will have the advantage on dictating whether the fight takes place on its feet or on the ground. But Makovsky, do not bet, and I gotta go with Formiga here. Formiga for the win. Now this next fight, also very interesting, but a very interesting matchup, stylistic matchup. So we got Tavares versus Peralta. Now at first with this fight, oh, whoosh, Peralta all day. Oh, I love this one. And then as I started breaking it down and watching the fights, you know, it's interesting because Tavares should be able to dictate where the fight takes place. But Tavares' fight IQ, his game plans are terrible. So I'm going to have to go with Peralta here. Now, with Tavares, his chin is horrible, for one. Inconsistent. And his game plans are terrible. He's been in the UFC for 7 years, and he's been injury-plagued like no other, making his first drop to featherweight. So he's going to have to get this fight to the ground and use his jiu-jitsu, and that's the bottom line. Now, with Peralta, well, he can be controlled on the mat, and he's a bit inconsistent himself. But I love his knockout power. I love Peralta's knockout power. Whether it's first, second, third round, does not matter. He's got the power. He's got a good heart. This guy, he's got the heart of a fighter for sure. And he went down to Brazil and beat Honey Jason in a very big upset. And I was very impressed with him there. And watching the fight again, very impressed with him once again. So I love Peralta in this fight. Very close to making him 3-star pick. He missed it, but he'll be in a small bet, round robin bet that I'll talk about in a little bit. So definitely Peralta by knockout, round 2. It's Peralta for the win. And then a pair of heavyweights. Do not bet. Do not bet. Zero interest in betting this fight. None whatsoever. It's a heavyweight fight, so anything can happen. So it makes you think, okay, well, let's put a little money on the dog then. But the odds are ridiculous here, and you gotta think Jordan is gonna be out there playing it super safe. Putting him up against the fence, taking him down, just protecting that chin, tucking his chin. I mean, just putting his hands up, tucking his chin, just doing everything to not get knocked out. With May, the big thing that stands out for me is he's a little bit older, and his cardio, man, watching his fights, he just slows down big time. A good thing, he is a good technical striker. He has a good striking background, of course, and his training is ground game with Josh Barnett, who had a huge win over Dean Lister in Metamoris. So maybe he's riding high. You never know. He could be happy and for riding high. Winning's contagious. But with Jordan, this guy's got a terrible chin. First round losses, knockout losses. He's got to break up, and he's gonna have to wrestle and control May here. And training an American top team, those guys are smart over there, and I think Jordan won't lose 3 in a row. If he does, wow, this guy. So I think he's going to play super safe. I think we might even see a decision. He plays super safe, take him down. But with May's horrible cardio, I think in the second round, Jordan's going to get some type of submission. So Jordan for the win, but do not bet. Do not bet at all. And for the next fight, Baczynski versus Jouban. Baczynski fighting a talented striker, and Baczynski has been knocked out before. So, do not bet. Now, he needs to get this fight to the ground and control him. But his opponent, Jouban, he's making his UFC debut. Flash striker. 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, which is the best Jiu-Jitsu, really. And his takedown defense isn't good. His sub-defense is good, but his takedown defense isn't good. So it just has do not bet written all over it. If there's an upset here, I won't be surprised. I'm going to go with Baczynski because, the experience, level of opposition. But do not bet. And moving along here, a very interesting fight. Brad Tavares versus Tim the Barbarian Boetsch. Now, at first glance, I'm thinking Tavares all day. What the heck? I need to figure out what's going on with Boetsch. So watching his fights, his losing streak is alarming, and I know he's won those split and this and that, so the judges definitely like him. But what is going on with Tim Boetsch? So he moved this camp to Maine to train with Marcus Davis. to bring out the Barbarian. To bring out the Barbarian again. And not overthinking, not always thinking in there. You know, he was training at AMC Pancration with Matt Hume and the strategy. And for some fighters, there's certain styles that work, and for other fighters, certain styles that don't work. And so that's one of those things that, you know, no matter how good a camp is, if it's not working for you, then you got to make a switch. And even Tim Boetsch's wife told him, hey, you know what? You need to change things up because you're not fighting like you used to. And that's obvious by watching his fights. Now, what I do like about Tim Boetsch is that when he has his back against the wall, he shows up. And what he did against Okami, I mean, that was nothing short of unbelievable. And you can tell in that third round, that was a Tim Boetsch that we remember, you know, with a judo throw. I mean, just very aggressive, fearless, and he's having a homecoming here to Maine. So with Tavares, we got a ridiculous price tag, so he's unbettable right off the bat there. And when he wins decisions, and he always loses a round. So I like Tim Boetsch here on points. Now, obviously, we're going to be limited, so you know, we can just maximize on the limits there. And perhaps even a split decision for Tim Boetsch. That would not surprise me, so we'll do one of those too. And I'll get into those, of course, at the end of the video. And another thing with Tavares, you know, there were some storms in Hawaii that for the Hawaiian people were very alarming and, of course, depressing. So mentally, you know, going into this fight against Tim Boetsch, you know, this is a very interesting matchup, and I'm going to go with the upset here, Tim Boetsch, and we'll see how it plays out. I can't wait for that one. Now this one is my fight of the night, the betting pick of the night. We got Gray Maynard versus Ross, the real deal Pearson. Now Gray Maynard is a fighter that I am super familiar with. One of the UFC fighters that I probably know the best out of all of them. And with Maynard, you know, like I said, I'm not here to make friends or this or that. The important thing is the win. So he's 35 years old, and unfortunately, you know, his chin is gone due to those Edgar fights and the sparrings and everything else. It's obvious, you know, by watching him fight. So in his last two fights, lost by first round knockout. Diaz knocked him out. And, of course, Diaz isn't known for his knockout power. And T.J. Grant knocked him out. And his last win was over 2 years ago against Clay Guida. And even that win, I just watched the fight not, you know, within the last 3 weeks, like I said. And I had it 49-46 Guida. So, not good. The last clean win was over 4 years ago against Kenny Florian. So... And his last great fight was at UFC 125, and he hasn't been the same since UFC 136. So against the fights, you know, this guy, you know, I really like him, you know, as a person, as a fighter. I really love Gray Maynard, but you know, his time is up. And with Pearson, we got a guy who's 29 years old. Clearly robbed in his last fight, and I think that's why people are so hesitant to that's why the line has stayed pretty much where it's at right now. But Pearson is the real deal, you know, like his name says, he's steadily improving. He's hit his stride here. He's got good striking. He's just a guy who has hit his stride, and I really like this. I really like his stand up a lot, and I really believe. I really love Ross Pearson here in this fight. I really like him a lot here. So I'm saying Ross Pearson by decision. He could possibly knock out Gray, but definitely Ross Pearson for the win. Definitely a betting pick, and we'll get into that. In the last fight of the night, Ryan Bader, main event against OSP. Now with Bader, the big thing with him is his chin. I am not a fan of Ryan Bader's chin. I mean, this guy just goes down, and that's it. But very much like Ross Pearson, I think he has hit his stride. Very much like CB Dollaway, I think he has hit his stride. I think they have found the formula that works for them. And I really like Ryan Bader in this fight. With OSP, you know, he has won, and he has looked good as of late, but against what competition? And, you know, his wrestling, I understand this guy's been improving steadily, and I can see it in his fights, but his wrestling is not, the wrestling that Ryan Bader has is not something you can get in a year or 2 or 3. You know, that wrestling is going to take 7, 8, 9, 10 years more. Then the one fight that really stood out with the wrestling was Mousasi. It was a few years ago, but still, there's not going to be that much of a. There's going to be improvement, but not enough to make me pick OSP over Bader. So I really like Bader in this fight. I think he's going to use his wrestling and his striking, mix it up, heavy hands, and win the fight. So, but we'll go into the bet in a little bit here. So, what do we have? 5 stars, large to huge bets. There are going to be none. Unfortunately, I could not find any that are worthy of that rating. 4 stars, medium to large plays. So here is a crazy stat. In the last 57 UFC events, 57, my 4-star picks are 65 and 11. That's an 85.5 winning percentage. That is crazy. And it just so happens that Ross Pearson falls into that category. So, Ross Pearson, 4 stars. It will be a medium play. And I can't wait for that fight. You know, knock on wood. Everything goes our way there. And no 3-star plays. None. But we will have a little action on those, and I'll get into those in a minute. So, MMA dog bets. 1 unit equals 1% of your bankroll. Okay? So, if you don't do units, if you're not into, you know, let's do the units, then keep the ratio the same on the bets. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second. So, the bets will be this. Ross Pearson at minus 145. 5.5 units. So 5.5 units to win 3.79 units. So to make a really simple, small example here. So let's say you put $550 on Ross Pearson. You could potentially win 379. So nice small bet there. 550 to win 379. And a round robin of 2s. So a round robin of 2s. Total bet is 0.36 units to win 1.53 units. So the example bet would be a total of the bet, $36 to win $153. So that would be the ratio of it. If you take a look, 5.50 units, 0.36 units, a simple, you know, example. And I have that on the text file, so that way if you're not into betting the units, and of course your units could be much larger, so 1 unit could be $1,000, a unit could be 10 grand, whatever it is. But this is just for example's sake, so it makes it nice and simple for everybody. So, example, so a round robin bet of 2s, round robin of 2s, total bet is 0.36 units. So each bet would be 0.06 units, or 6 bets to win 1.53 units. So it's Bader at minus 180, Watson at minus 120, Boetsch at plus 255, and Formiga at plus 3.5 points. That's plus 140. So that takes care of that round robin. Round robin of 2s, 4 selections, or some people call it 4 teams, 4 fighters. And the next round robin of 2s, total bet is 0.36 units, same as the one before, but this one will pay out a little more if it cashes out, 2.14 units. So example, easy, small, tiny bet would be $36 to win 214. Now with these, of course, if your units are much higher than that, you will be limited to by the sportsbook's limits. So these are small bets anyway, so you just gotta make the the best of it. And the big bet really is on Ross Pearson, as you can tell by the way the ratios are in relation to the bets. So for this one, Bader minus 180, Peralta plus 150, Boetsch plus 3.5 points at minus 160, and Formiga by submission at plus 450. So that gives us our bet there. So total 6.22 units to win 7.46 units. So the big play of the night, Ross Pearson. The rest are just, you know, whatever the limit, whatever you can fit under the limits. And I am excited for this card. Ross Pearson for the win. And of course, you know, like I say, we go within it with the best of intentions. And 4 stars, 85%. Everything's odds are in our favor. That's for sure. Like that movie. You know, may the odds be in your favor. That's us. So of course, nothing is guaranteed. So that's why you never want to bet more than you can afford to lose. But I am excited for Saturday night. So that pretty much wraps it up. You know, we've done the homework. I got these all over my house. Let me see. And, you know, notes on top of notes and stuff. So it's time to turn in the homework and take the test. So I hope you guys have yourself a great weekend. If you're watching this after the fights, I encourage you to give us a shot. You know, we guarantee profit. If you don't make profit, then we will return our service fee, and you will also get the next card for free. So I'm on a good streak right now. Nothing is guaranteed, nothing is given, but I've definitely been putting in the work. So hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you guys real soon.